joining us on Running Point. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Hey, no problem, guys. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Coach, when I was at that game last year when you played Western Reserve in the playoffs, I think it was the loudest COVID game I've ever heard from a crowd. And I think that Jackson Milton community is huge in support. But before we get to the community, let's first meet the team and meet some of those guys that are coming back. We know you lost some big boys, Bouch being one of the big ones, but who are some of the guys that are coming back for this team this year that you're excited about, and maybe some younger guys that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, so we lost 7 seniors from last year's team. AJ Bouch, Mason Robeson was a 1,000-point scorer. Colt Grope, who was our point guard, did a great job running the offense. Nick McGinnis, Frank Prosey, lost all those guys. But we do bring back 2 returning lettermen. Aaron Romai, who played a lot of important minutes for us last year. He actually got a couple of starts earlier in the year and later in the year due to some injuries. Logan Sokol, who's a senior this year. Logan really was hampered by injuries last year. Logan missed about 12 games due to a back injury, but he's fully healthy this year. We also have another senior that came back out this year. He was not with us last year, Nikolai Scandy, so we're excited to have him back in the program. About a 6'1" guard, so it's nice to have him back. Then we got a couple young guys. Aiden Stanky, who's a sophomore. Aiden played pretty much all JV for us last year, but we're really excited about him and his future. Tough, hardworking kid. Really, really loves the game of basketball. And then Ryan Romai, Aaron's little brother, he's a freshman this year. He's probably going to be running the point for us, so we expect big things out of him. He's about a 6'2", 6'3" point guard. Does a really nice job handling the basketball. So we're excited about those guys. Also adding in a junior and Ezekiel Brock. And then after those guys, we got a sophomore and Alex Ratuna, who's someone we're excited about. And then we're still looking to kind of round out that top 8 to 9 guys to see who else kind of grabs one of those spots.
You'll have a lot of guys that are trying to either get their first varsity experience or trying to get their first full season of varsity experience. When you're at a season like that and you had such a successful season last year, how important is it to kind of get them to not try to be last year's team and just try to find their own identity and just be themselves out of the floor and succeed that way?
That's the word I was going to use, that word identity. We're still looking to find that right now. Last year, the last 3 years, really, we've had the same core group of guys for 3 years. We knew our identity. We knew having AJ Bouch, a guy like him, he protects the paint. He did a heck of a job. This year, we're going to be a little undersized. We don't have that kind of size we've had in the past. So we're working on finding that identity. One thing I can really say about this group, they're coachable. They're coachable. They want to learn. They ask a lot of questions, especially with guys that, have primarily played JV for the last couple of years. They're asking a lot of questions about what we do at the varsity level, especially last year with COVID. We split our practices up. We were fortunate to have an Aux gym at Jackson Milton, and we put the JV guys in the Aux gym every day, varsity guys in the main gym, just due to, we didn't want to have any contact in case someone came down with COVID. So it really set some of these guys back a little bit by doing that. But it was just really to protect the season and the program. That was the main reason we did it. But, they missed a lot of opportunities last year of being with those seniors last year that really knew exactly what we were doing, especially defensively, offensively. They missed out on a lot of things, those JV guys last year. So we're trying to find our identity, but we're also trying to catch them up on a lot of things that we've been doing for the last 3 years. So it's really them buying into what we do, being coachable, listening, asking questions. And then they're a hungry group. I mean, they want to succeed. They saw the success we had last year. If my memory serves me correct, I think it was 2009, the last time Jackson Milton was 2013, the last time the school was in a district tournament, even won a sectional final. So kind of getting to that district semis last year against Warren JFK, some of those guys were on the bench. They dressed for that game. They want to get back to that point, and they want to continue the success we had last year and pick up right where we left off.
Coach, I want to talk to you a little bit about when you're bringing in a younger team. I know talking with other area coaches, 2 of the biggest proponents that you want on a team, a big man and a point. So when you bring in a point guard as a freshman, how excited are you to kind of utilize that freshman for the next 4 years now to kind of develop an offense? And it must be exciting times to have that piece kind of check marked as the next 4 years.
Yeah, it's huge. Still being a freshman, though he's young, it's a big jump from that 8th grade basketball to play varsity basketball. You're not playing against 14 and 15 years old. You might be playing against 18-year-olds. So it's a big jump for him, but it's exciting to have him for the next 4 years. We can really groom him, teach him. He's for a freshman. I mean, his maturity level is incredible. He listens. He's constantly doing what we're asking him to do. We got to get him ready physically. We would like to put some more weight on him for sure, but to have him for the next 4 years, that's huge for the program. You got that. I always say, when we first got to Jackson Milton, we said we need a point guard. That's the number one thing. We need that guy that's the coach on the floor, going to set up our offense every single time, hold his teammates accountable. We had that in the last 3 years with Cole Grove. This year, we kind of were going in. We didn't know who would be our point guard. Going to summer league, we tested out a few different guys, and we came to the conclusion as a staff that Ryan was going to be our guy because we know we got him for 4 years. Does a great job handling the ball. The other two guys we tested out, we really want them on the wing. They're both pretty dang good shooters, so we wanted both of them on the wing to be able to catch and shoot and also catch and attack the rim. So putting Ryan there at the point, and he also has that ability to catch and shoot the ball too, which is huge. Does a great job of attacking the rim. So, I mean, he's got all the tools. It's up to him. The ball's in his court now to really buy in, watch some film, learn from his mistakes. We spend a lot of time watching film, going over everything. Our staff really nitpicks on a lot of things when we're watching film. Last night was a perfect example. We watched some film, and normally we're about 45 minutes in and out. Last night we were about an hour and 15 because we're nitpicking things that, for Ryan especially, and for other guys that didn't play any varsity basketball last year, just to kind of get them to understand what we're looking for. And, if they buy in, they continue to learn from watching film, especially with Ryan and these other younger guys. I think we have many, many years of success coming our way.
Coach, obviously the team standing in the way of that success are going to be a majority in the MVAC that you play in. Talk about this conference, the teams that you think are going to be formidable this year, and how you think it's going to shape up.
You got Springfield. They're going to be tough. They always are every single year. They got a new coach that's been there in the past, had a lot of success. You also got Lowville. Lowville's got a ton of talent. They got some big kids over there. They go 6'4", 6'5". Their point guard's 6'5". So those are the two top teams that I think really separate themselves in the conference this year. You also got McDonald. They could have a down year, but their kids expect to win. That's the culture over there in that program. So you can never count them out. But after, the Springfield and Lowville, I think the conference is pretty wide open. You got some good competition. Waterloo's always got a good program. Western Reserve, they always got a good program. They always got tough kids. Sebring, I know they're kind of rebuilding, but they got tough kids out there. So I think the conference is tough this year. But again, it's wide open. And on any given night in that conference, when you play each other twice a year, I think on any given night, anybody can beat each other. You know each other so well. Each coach in the conference, you know them. You know what they do. Having a few new coaches this year in the conference at Sebring, Western Reserve, and Springfield, their identity is probably going to change a little bit. But at the end of the day, when you play each other twice a year, anybody can beat anybody on any given night. So it's going to be a tough league, as it always is. We've always said every single year, there's no easy ones in our league. You could have a team that maybe has 0 league wins, and they go out and beat somebody. Just a perfect example is last year, Sebring having 0 league wins going into their last game of the year, and they go out and beat Springfield. So it can happen on any given night. It's always a tough conference. You just got tough kids in that conference, and it'll be a battle every single night. Playing 14 league games, that's 14 tough games on your schedule.
Yeah, and I could attest to that. MVAC is definitely going to be tough, and it's definitely going to help groom this team, no doubt. Talking about that too, and you keep on hinting at what you expect from the team. So I wanted to ask the question. We know all these successful teams in the MVAC, it's all about the culture that's implemented and everything, and that's why they're able to be successful year in and year out. As far as your culture, what do you want it to mean to be a Blue Jay at the end of the day for these boys?
The culture has been something we've been trying to build for the last 5 years. That the group that just graduated, I think they did a heck of a job, in their 3 years, all of them playing varsity, really establishing that culture. What we say when it means to be a Blue Jay, we want to be the hardest working team. We want to give maximum effort every single time we step on the floor, whether it's practice or a game. We want to make sure that if we're at practice for 2 hours, we get 2 good hours of work. We're not there to mess around, to have fun. We tell the kids Tuesday night and Friday night after a win, that's the time to have fun. Those 2 hours in the gym, you're there to work. You're there to challenge each other. All these guys are friends. So sometimes, they kind of, they're kind of easier on their friends, but we tell them you're there to compete. You're there to get each other better. To be a Blue Jay, we expect guys to give maximum effort, guys to listen, guys to be coachable, and to continue to build the program over there and have that expectation that every single night you step on the floor, you can win. That was something when we got there, we kind of saw right away, when you go play a McDonald or you go play a Springfield, there wasn't that expectation that they could win. And building that expectation, getting them to understand, hey, you step on the floor on Tuesday, Friday night, you can beat anybody. You got to believe that. And if you believe that, you can go out and achieve it.
Coach, although the head coach gets all the interviews and the limelight, we know they're nothing without the staff that's behind them. I want to give you a chance to highlight your coaching staff and the people that make this program what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. My varsity assistant, I'm fortunate enough to have my dad coaching with me. My dad has coached for the past 20 years in the area between Howland, JFK, Jackson Milton. He also coached at the Kent State branch for years. I rely on him so much. It's not even funny. He does a heck of a job. He's phenomenal with the kids. He's that old school coach. I always say you need a gray hair on your staff. And to have my dad out there with me, to be able to do it together, it's awesome. We get out of practice, call him on our way. When I'm on my way home and he's on his way home, we talk about practice. We talk about the game. So to have him there, it's huge. Also, J.R. Shipley. J.R. has been with us from the beginning at Jackson Milton. J.R. played some college basketball. J.R. played overseas in Australia for a short period of time. J.R. is kind of that player's coach, man. He's great with the kids. All the kids really love him. We play that good cop, bad cop kind of role. When I come down on a kid, he's always the one to pick him back up. Really does a phenomenal job with the kids. His communication is great with them, So those two are huge. This year, unfortunately, we don't have a freshman team. We have a freshman schedule, but we couldn't get the full schedule together. So we bumped Zach Engel down. Zach Engel's been with us this is his second season with us. So he'll be coaching the 7th grade program this year. Zach's a young coach. He's hardworking. He'll spend 3-4 hours at practice. No problem. He'll stay for the varsity practice after the 7th and 8th grade practices. And then also Rob Romai, Rob's 2 sons, Aaron's a junior, and Ryan, who we were talking about earlier, is a freshman. They're both in the high school program. Rob coaches the 8th grade program. Rob does a phenomenal job down there. I mean, without those 4, you're only as good as the guys you got behind you. And like you said, the head coach gets those interviews, but those other guys, man, they deserve all the credit in the world because truthfully, without those 4, I couldn't do what I'm able to do.
Coach, my final question for you before we let you go, as we like to highlight all the programs and highlight everything. Like I said earlier in the interview, it was the loudest game I've ever heard with the COVID restrictions. So I don't think you're going to have any issues getting people out to the games. But if there's anybody on the fence about coming out and seeing this new team, I think there's excitement to come out and see it. So what's sort of the sales pitch to come out and check out this Blue Jays team this year?
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to, you come to a game, you're going to see a team that plays hard for 32 minutes. Again, we're still trying to find that identity. I don't want to give too much away, but, we're going to play a faster pace of basketball than we've played in the past. Having a guy like AJ Bouch, we knew we could get the ball in the paint and he could score for us. And this year we don't have that ability. So we're going to play a lot faster, but you're going to see a team that plays extremely hard for 32 minutes. A team that, we tell them all the time, we cannot beat ourselves. We got to protect the basketball. Got to make free throws, got to defend, and we got to rebound. So you're going to see a fun team to watch. And, these young guys, again, like I said earlier, they're a hungry group. They want to continue the success that we've had. So you're going to see a group of guys that they really want to get after it, and they want to prove that, Jackson Milton basketball is back, and it's for real.
Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We look forward to getting out there and covering you guys all year. We look forward to success, and we know we'll talk to you again real soon.
Yeah, hey, thanks for everything you guys do, man. Thanks for having me, and look forward to seeing you guys here soon.
Oh, you'll be seeing us. Don't worry.
All right, guys, take care.